Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Go on and have fun, you guys. I won't be going. Sarah wasn't interested in going to the karaoke bar. Aunt Sarah, I'll go home with you, Isabel immediately said. Since her father was at home, she didn't dare to do as she liked. It's okay. Go on. I'll deal with your dad. Sarah knew how much Isabel wanted to have fun. I love you, Aunt Sarah. Isabel was extremely grateful. Sarah merely smiled in response. She's still young, so she should enjoy life to the fullest. Besides, the Lombard family is more than capable of giving her a good life. She doesn't need to suffer. Since Sarah didn't drive there, Tristan would have to send her home first before sending Sophie home. Sarah was especially quiet on the journey back. Seeing how quiet she was, Sophie didn't say much either. After all, Sophie was never a chatty person. Upon arriving at the entrance of the Lombard family's mansion, Sarah told Tristan to stop the car. All right. I'll go in on my own so that you can send Sophie home. Sophie, I'll see you next time. Okay, Sarah. Rest early. Sophie uttered politely, seeming exceptionally well behaved. You too. Also, good luck for tomorrow. With that, Sarah walked toward the Lombard manor. Tristan watched her go in before driving away. Only then did Sophie ask, "What's with Sarah?" It has to be because of Juan, Tristan answered. Juan had already hurt Sarah countless times, and it was all because of Yvette. Sarah is such a fool for love. It's just a man. It's not like he's irreplaceable. Unfortunately for her, she's way too emotional, and that's why she's still bothered by it. Juan? Isn't that Charles's brother? Sophie knew who he was because she had met him at Walter's birthday party. Although she had only seen him once, she had already hated him. In fact, she hated Yvette even more. Stay out of it, okay? When it comes to relationships, she likes to solve problems on her own. She'll even get angry if someone meddles with her relationship matters. Mr. Tristan, do I look like a busybody? Sophie would rather mind her own business because she didn't like the drama. You do, Tristan answered. She had just been a busybody today. Besides, it was a girl who had harmed her in the past. She's too magnanimous. Sophie knew he was talking about Angie. Well, Willow should be blamed for what happened with the forum. Besides, Angie had already suffered so much. I've decided to let the matter slide. She wasn't a saint, but she felt as though what Angie did wasn't unforgivable. Besides, everyone makes mistakes. What's the point of dwelling on someone's mistake forever? Right then, Tristan held her hand and said, "Did you think she was merciful to you? It was because she didn't have the capability to hurt you." He felt that Angie didn't deserve any sympathy. Sophie kept mum. All right. I'll stay out of it. Since I didn't intervene in the past, I won't intervene now. Tristan believed in Sophie's ability to handle the matter. Again, Sophie remained silent. All right. Since he has already said so, let's drop this matter for now. After sending Sophie back to Wisteria Apartments, Tristan didn't leave right away. Instead, he gave her a flash drive. If something unforeseeable happens during the shareholders' meeting tomorrow, this will come in handy. Tristan had kept Victor and Yale's dirt on the flash drive. If she were to expose them, they would definitely back down. Sophie blinked while staring at the flash drive in his hand. "Mr. Tristan, do you not believe in my capability?" she asked. "This isn't even something big. Why does he think that I can't handle it on my own?" Tristan kept quiet for a while because he didn't know how to put it in a way that she would understand. Seeing that he wasn't answering, Sophie uttered, "Fine. You don't have to explain. Thanks." Tristan stayed quiet for a while. "I'm sincerely trying to help her. I just don't want you to get too tired. Since I can get these things done so easily, why can't you just let me help you?" Tristan asked. "I'm such a valuable asset." Why can't she just make full use of me? Thank you, Sophie replied. It's okay. Since he had already helped me, what's the point in blaming him? After all, he was just being helpful. Don't do this again next time, okay? I've already done my preparations, she added. I really don't need him to trouble himself. Besides, he's a busy man. He really shouldn't get caught up in these minor matters of mine. Actually, Victor is a good man. If possible, let him help you in dealing with matters regarding Tanner Group in the future. Tristan urged. Yes, I know that. Sophie had already looked into Victor prior to that. Victor is a charismatic guy, and he's very trustworthy. Dad didn't trust him back then. Otherwise, Tanner Group wouldn't be how it is today if he had let Victor manage Tanner Group. Tristan then held her waist and pulled her into his embrace. Sophie, sometimes, I really hope that you're not so capable. That way, perhaps I can become someone more important to you. Tristan hoped that she would let him help her. If she would let me help her, I can at least get a sense of fulfillment. The girl I like is too capable, and it makes me feel so inconsequential. This sucks. Why do I feel this way? I've always been a confident man. Why do I always lack self-confidence when I'm with her? Mr. Tristan, It's all right. Let's just drop it. Rest early, okay? I'll fetch you tomorrow morning. Tristan let go of her and kissed her forehead before he left. While sitting in the living room on her own, Sophie couldn't help but think about what Tristan had said. Do I make him feel insecure? To me, his presence is unique. He's unlike Arius, Mark, and anybody else. However, I'm never good at expressing myself. Is that why he's feeling insecure? Just as her mind was racing with thoughts, the ring on her ring finger lit up. She wanted to remove the ring, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't. In the end, she ignored it. There's no escaping the inevitable, and I'm not afraid of anything now. Just when she was immersed in such a thought, her phone rang. Seeing that it was Arius calling her, she answered it instantly. Why are you calling me at this hour? Sophie asked casually. Arius heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Sophie's voice. Sophie, don't take everything so lightly, okay? He's still looking for you. I know you're very capable, but will you be more careful? Have you seen him? Did he hurt you? Sophie frowned. Why is that man everywhere? Don't worry. Barney can protect me in Englander. Who would dare to touch me? I'm just worried about you, and that's why I called, Arius answered. That man just won't quit. All right. Don't worry about me. No one's going to hurt me, and that includes him. Sophie was confident that no one could get their hands on her. Take care of yourself, okay? Don't let him catch you. That man knew her well, so he knew that Arius was her weakness. Don't worry about that. I won't let anyone use me to threaten you. Although he wasn't as strong as Sophie, he was still capable of defending himself. Okay, I'll hang up now. With that, Sophie wanted to hang up the phone. Wait, Sophie. Don't you miss me? We haven't seen each other in so long. Can't we chat for a while? Arius was displeased. I worry about her every day. How could she be so heartless? What do you want then? Sophie asked patiently. Arius was the only person she would be patient with. Say you miss me, Arius uttered pridefully. Sophie kept mum. What's wrong? I just want to hear you say that. Is it that hard for you? Arius asked. I would risk my life for her. Why can't she at least meet me halfway? Arius, you're not young anymore. With that, Sophie hung up the phone before he could say something childish. When he heard the telltale sound of the call being ended, Arius looked at his phone and realized that she had hung up on him. He then couldn't help but grumble. What? You're so cruel, Sophie. How could you hang up on me? Arius just kept complaining on his own. However, after a long while of ranting to himself, he deflated like a balloon. Screw it. What's the point? I can complain all I want, but when she calls, I'll still go to her. Arya sighed, feeling rather dispirited. Sophie, you're so heartless, he complained. I'm her friend, but why do I feel like I'm sacrificing more than her parent? The next morning, Tristan arrived to pick Sophie up. Sophie wore a formal outfit that day. However, she still looked young. He couldn't help but pinch her chin and sigh. Sophie, you're not only young, but you also have a baby face, he uttered. I bet no one's going to think that I'm her boyfriend when I go out with her. Sophie pushed his hand away and retorted, What's the matter, Mr. Tristan? Are you complaining about my looks? No. You're just so alluring. That's why I'm feeling insecure, Tristan answered. Having such an attractive girlfriend isn't necessarily a good thing. Everyone will be mesmerized by her. Sophie didn't know how to respond. What should I do? What can I say to respond to that? The shareholders' meeting was going to start at 9 that morning. Since they had enough time to have breakfast together, Tristan brought her to the Crown. To their surprise, they bumped into Winter and Juan there. Winter's eyes lit up when she saw Tristan. However, her gaze quickly dampened when she saw Sophie walking behind him. I thought Mr. Tristan was just toying with Sophie. So much time had passed. Is Mr. Tristan not sick of her yet? Don't men get sick with their flings? Why is Mr. Tristan so loyal to her? I don't get it. When Juan saw Tristan, he immediately brought Winter over to greet him. Are you guys here for breakfast as well? Let's have breakfast together. It has been a while since we had breakfast together. Sophie didn't like Juan. Furthermore, she noticed that Juan would always gaze at her. What is he looking at? No. She doesn't like having breakfast with a stranger. Tristan wrapped his arm around her shoulders possessively. What is Juan up to? He knows Sophie is mine. Why is he still looking at her all the time? Juan merely smiled when he saw how Tristan acted. Don't misunderstand me, Mr. Tristan. I just find Ms. Tanner familiar. That's all. Is that so? Is Sophie such an average-looking girl? Tristan questioned. Is he expecting me to believe him? She has such exquisite facial features. That's not what I mean. Ms. Tanner, apart from old Mr. Quigley's birthday party, have we not met each other before? Juan asked. Sophie shook her head in response. She had no idea who Juan was. No. I've been in Horrington for the past few years. I think you've mistaken me for someone else. Sophie was getting sick of wasting her time talking nonsense. I'm sorry, but we're in a rush. Tristan ignored Juan and brought Sophie away. Since there were no private rooms left, Tristan could only get a table by the window. We've booked a private room, Mr. Tristan. Let's eat together, Winter offered. Mr. Tristan had never been fond of eating in common areas. Although there's no such thing as first come first served in romance, I've already been after him for so long. How can I just give up now? No matter what, I'm not going to give up on getting him. Winter, I just want to have breakfast with Sophie today. Get lost, will you? Tristan uttered mercilessly. Winter's face immediately turned pale when she heard that. Mr. Tristan, Winter was just being kind. Why must you act like that? Juan piped up. Regardless, Winter is still my sister. How can he disrespect her? Tristan merely shot a glance at Juan. Juan was startled when he saw the look in Tristan's eyes. I should just forget about it. It's not worth crossing Mr. Tristan over such a trivial matter. In Gypsdale, not many people can afford to offend him. Let's go inside, Winter. Juan dragged Winter away. While getting dragged away, Winter still kept turning back to look at Tristan. She hadn't seen him for a few days, and she was missing him dearly. I'm such a fool. I have so many guys who are after me, and they're all young and capable. However, who is ever going to be as good as him? The annoyance on Tristan's face gradually disappeared after he watched Winter and Juan leave. Sophie forked some food and sent it his way. Don't spoil your mood for people that don't matter, she said nonchalantly. not the least bit bothered by Juan. Okay. With that, Tristan opened his mouth and ate the food from her fork. Sophie was stunned momentarily. I wasn't trying to feed him. However, he already ate it, so it doesn't matter what I say now. Tristan was very pleased with Sophie's attentiveness. Have some yourself. Sophie was still slightly speechless. All right then. Maybe he's just used to being served by someone. Seeing that, Tristan immediately took a bagel and held it up to her mouth. Here. Open your mouth. He wanted to feed her, too. Words eluded Sophie. She knew she had to say something. Mr. Tristan can be a clueless man at times. Mr. Tristan, don't you think it'd be unsightly if I were to eat this huge bagel in one go? I guess you're right. Tristan was left with no choice but to finish the bagel himself. Sophie found his reaction amusing. Rest assured that I'm already an adult who can take good care of myself. You don't have to worry about me at all. It's just breakfast. There's no need for him to keep an eye on me. You're too skinny. You should eat a bit more. He was not happy with her weight. Mr. Tristan, being skinny is the new standard of beauty for women in this time and era. Do you get it? What's so great about being exceptionally thin? You look like a bamboo stick. I look like a bamboo stick? Are you sure? Despite being slim, I have all the assets a woman would want on her body. Although I don't have a voluptuous figure, I can't possibly look like a bamboo stick. That's not what I meant. Actually, I'm very satisfied with your body. What? Okay, fine. I meant to say you have a great body. Don't all girls mind when people comment about their figures? No need to explain anymore, Mr. Tristan. Go ahead and eat your breakfast. I might appear aloof, but I do feel shy discussing my body early in the morning. Regardless, I'm just a young lady. Okay, I'll focus on my breakfast and stop checking you out. After they finished eating, they ran into Juan and Winter on the way out. Winter went up to them to say hi, but Tristan gave her the cold shoulder and ignored her completely. Winter was used to him reacting that way, for she knew that her one-sided feelings would never be reciprocated. Even if she felt sour about it, there was nothing she could do. As Winter watched him leave with Sophie, the former found it hard to avert her gaze. Winter, do you still like Mr. Tristan that much? Juan thought it was a bonus to the Lombard family should Winter tie the knot with Tristan. Yes, I do. The entire world knows that I have feelings for him, but he couldn't care less about me. Bitterness permeated her. Since you like him so much, you should work hard to get him, Winter. Where there's a will, there's a way. As long as you put in the effort, you'll surely see results. Winter stared at him in disbelief. At the same time, there was a sparkle in her eyes. Juan, do you think that I'll succeed? Charles keeps asking me to give up. Many doubted her. Grabbing her shoulders, Juan said dotingly. Absolutely. Our sister is so adorable and talented. I believe that you will win his heart. Therefore, you must put more effort into it. Winter nodded gleefully. Yup. At that moment, she saw a glimmer of hope and felt good about herself. Meanwhile, Tristan sent Sophie back to Tanner Group. Once you're done with the shareholders' meeting, call me. I'll come and pick you up. He knew that she did not want him to participate in the meeting. Hence, he backed off. All right, you go ahead and catch up with your work. The end of the fiscal year is soon approaching. I bet Lombard Group has entered a busy period, too. Okay. Yale had been waiting in the car to speak to Tristan. Unfortunately, the latter left by the time Yale got out of his car. Yale's face flushed a little when he saw Sophie staring at him, expressionless. Sophie, I'm your dad no matter what happens, right? You shouldn't make it too difficult for me. Now that you have Mr. Tristan by your side, you can own anything you want in the future, can't you? Yale was clutching at straws because he could not let go of Tanner Group. Being a spendthrift all of his life, he could never be able to survive on a tiny amount of dividends. Sophie frowned at him. What's the use of him coming here and spouting pointless words? So, Yale's face fell. I've already made my intentions clear. Why can't she understand where I'm coming from? How could she be so greedy? So what I'm trying to point out is, why are you fighting against me for Tanner Group when you've got Lombard Group? Tanner Group is my sweat and blood. I can't live without it. Tanner Group is your sweat and blood? Are you kidding me? Come on and tell me. What have you contributed to the group? Tanner Group wouldn't have ended up the way it is now if it hadn't been for him. By the way, are you out of your mind? Since when did Lombard Group belong to me? Did you gift it to me? Why is he spewing nonsense? What does he take me for? Sophie, I can tell that Mr. Tristan treats you very well. If only you could marry him. Even if you don't, you should remain by his side. I'm certain he won't mistreat you. What is he talking about? Are these words supposed to be spoken by a father? How could he encourage me to be someone's lover? Sophie felt an impending headache. Cut the crap, Yale. I must have Tanner Group. You. Sophie, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm still your father, regardless. Must you drive me into a corner? Would you be happy if I were to jump down from the building of Tanner Group? Jumping off the building? Are you threatening me now? Yale said nothing. The only thing on his mind was to secure Tanner Group. There was absolutely no way for him to give it up. Anyway, you'd better mark my words. If I don't get to be the CEO of Tanner Group, I'll jump off the building and haunt you forever. At that instant, Sophie burst out laughing. Haunt me for the rest of my life? So what? Nothing will change even if you end your life by jumping off the building, and nor will I feel bad about it. With that, Sophie walked past him without casting another glance at him. Sophie, how could you be so cruel? I'm still your father, no matter what. How could you do this to me? Yale bellowed as resentment swirled within him. Yet, Sophie ignored him totally. Regardless of what he had to say, she was resolute to possess Tanner Group. Yale stood rooted to the spot, unwilling to accept the reality. I'm the rightful heir to Tanner Group. Bearing that thought in mind, he quickly gave his secretary a call. Go to my house at once and take Dad away. Since Sophie did not grant him any opportunity to turn things around, he had no choice but to take a bold risk. It was impossible for him to give up on Tanner Group in any case. Are you sure you want to take this step? Yale's secretary was rather scared because the latter knew how terrifying Sophie was. My life is over if Ms. Tanner finds out I'm the one who abducts old Mr. Tanner. What's wrong? Don't you want to keep working at Tanner Group? Do you think you could stay if they removed me from the company? After falling silent for a while, the secretary responded. Noted. I'll go get old Mr. Tanner right away. I'll just think of it as taking old Mr. Tanner out for a walk. Feeling helpless with a plan in mind, Yale felt more confident in succeeding. No matter what, I must achieve victory this time. So what if the other party is Tristan? I'll never let what I deserve slip through my hands. Don't blame me for adopting an extreme approach. I've tried begging Sophie, but she paid no heed to my pleas. It's every man for himself. When Sophie visited Tanner Group in the past, the employees never paid any attention to her. However, things changed after the incident at Transfix Cosmetics. Everyone started to take notice of her and anticipate her capabilities. Sophie managed to turn the tides and save Transfix Cosmetics from going into bankruptcy. It was obvious to the staff that she had the caliber to lead the company to greater heights. Hence, they were assured of that. Good morning, Ms. Tanner. Several workers greeted her respectfully, whereas the others followed suit. Instantly, everyone became very optimistic about her. That was the scene Victor saw when he arrived at the office. Sophie is quite impressive. She has already won everyone's trust even before making any contributions. She's really something. Mr. Victor, she's now your opponent. Hasn't Mr. Victor been eyeing the position of CEO? How could he praise his competitor at this juncture? Mr. Victor, do you think you will win this time? They had given their best. No idea. Without Sophie, Victor would have won the position hands down. However, he was uncertain about his status the moment Sophie entered the power game. Mr. Victor, should we pull a trick to make her withdraw? It's not like we haven't done anything similar before. Apparently, it was quite normal for businessmen to do whatever it would take to achieve their objectives. Stop it. This girl piqued my interest. I'm more than happy to play games with her. Victor rejected the idea proposed immediately. Did you fall for her, Mr. Victor? He's never been this kind to others. If this isn't love, then what is? Victor shot his assistant a cold glare and yelled. What are you talking about? Do you know how young is she? She's no longer a minor, though. As they were speaking, Victor spotted Sophie, and he quickly approached her. Hey, Sophie, it's been a while. How are you? Victor had been swamped with work recently and did not have the time to check in on her. She seems to have grown prettier since the last time I saw her. Hi, Mr. White. She nodded politely. The impression she had of him was not too bad. Congratulations. Transfix Cosmetics is doing very well, he complimented, feeling honored to have her as his opponent. Thanks. You also have some great projects going on. Sophie meant it earnestly. Victor was indeed a capable person. He completed the tasks assigned to him in an outstanding manner. Look at how we flatter each other. Shall we drop the formalities? Victor chuckled. Anyway, I admire you very much, Sophie. You're only a young lady, but you were able to successfully transform Transfix Cosmetics. Trust me when I say there's no correlation between gender and caliber. Alright, pardon me. However, it's rare to see such a competent 18-years-old girl in the entire Chon-AEA. She was deemed a talent not because she stood out as a girl but her great finesse and ability demonstrated at a very young age. Thank you. Sophie accepted his praise. Such a side of her piqued Victor's interest. Sophie, you're my cup of tea, he said under his breath. I don't mind losing this time. Meeting a girl like her makes it all worthwhile. Sophie was not a social butterfly. In fact, she was getting a little uneasy having small talks with others. Soon, they entered the conference room. The other shareholders had arrived, including Charmaine. She was well aware of Sophie's intention to take over Tanner Group. Hence, she did not approach Sophie to chat further. To Charmaine, Sophie was the unswerving type who focused firmly on her goal. No matter what anyone said, nothing could shake her determination. If that was the case, there was no way Charmaine could convince Sophie to do otherwise. After all, it would not affect Charmaine regardless of who became the CEO. Yale's reputation was going down the drain by the day. 10 minutes before the scheduled meeting time, Wilma finally arrived with the latest data about Transfix Cosmetics. Don't worry, Ms. Tanner, our sales has tripled. Action speaks louder than words. The excellent sales performance would definitely help Ms. Tanner become the company's CEO. Sophie received the document from her. Good job. You've worked hard lately. Sophie meant every word she said. I feel so happy working alongside you, Ms. Tanner. Sophie was a generous boss. She had given her staff a lot of benefits. Ms. Leinker, I'll offer you 10% of Transfix Cosmetics shares. Ms. Tanner. Wilma could not believe her ears. People who did not have strong family backgrounds like her would usually remain in the working class for life, despite the tremendous effort they channeled into their work. With Sophie rewarding Wilma with the company shares, the latter would then be one of Tanner Group's owners. This was unheard of in a capitalist society. No one would usually offer their employees any of the company's shares. All right, you can carry on with your work. There was nothing else that Wilma could do at the shareholders' meeting. Hence, Sophie thought it was a better idea for her to return to Transfix Cosmetics. Okay, I'll take my leave now. All the best, Ms. Tanner. Wilma was extremely confident that Sophie would win because she was a genius at doing business. I'm sure her talents won't go unnoticed. The shareholders' meeting was about to commence. Most of the people had arrived except for Yale. Mrs. Tanner, could you give Mr. Tanner a call, please? Everyone is waiting for him. One of the shareholders grew impatient. Our time is very precious. How could we waste it by waiting for him? I'm sorry. Actually, I've been trying to reach him. Charmaine felt so helpless. How could he be late to attend such an important meeting? Mr. Tanner is a busy man, huh? He hasn't even shown up for this major event. If Tanner Group means nothing to him, why is he pursuing the position relentlessly? Precisely. If he's late for such an important meeting, it makes me wonder if tardiness is a daily issue for him. How insolent. He's clearly not bothered about our benefits. The shareholders were serious about their investments. Their main motive was to earn money, and nobody had the luxury of time to play the fool. Faced with the quandary, Charmaine did not know what to do. Where on earth is Yale? Why isn't he here yet? Charmaine was clueless. She felt so lost as she fixated her gaze on Sophie. Sophie, do you know where's your dad? We're a family. You shouldn't let these shareholders bully me. Charmaine was left alone without any support. If you can't adapt to everything here, then you shouldn't be here. This is a company. I won't help you just because you're my family. Sophie had always separated work-related matters from personal matters. How dare you? I bet you're just afraid your dad will be re-elected as the CEO again. Did you do something to him? Charmaine accused her baselessly. To be honest, Sophie knew Charmaine very well. She was not only a nose of wax, but also liked to rely on someone else. However, this woman gave birth to her no matter what. Thus, she had always respected her as her mother, but what Charmaine said today really annoyed her. She had never expected the other woman to say that about her. Is this what a mother should say to her daughter? I'm not the same as you. You can harm your family member just for the sake of money and power, but I won't. Sophie refuted. Does she think I'm as despicable as they are? Victor, who was listening at the side, could not stand it any longer. What a weird family this girl has. Mrs. Tanner, how can you say that? I saw Mr. Tanner on my way here just now. If he doesn't dare to show up for fear of losing, we'll start the shareholders' meeting right away. Anyhow, the result will be the same regardless he comes or not, said Victor. He did not want to waste time on an irresponsible person anymore. You? Charmaine glared at Victor, but she immediately shut her mouth when Victor shot her with a fierce look. Their aura were more terrifying than mine. I have no say at all in this company. Mr. White, what are you talking about? I was making some preparations. What makes you think that I dare not show up? Yale walked in with a confident look. He was positive that he would be re-elected as the CEO of Tanner Group. No one could take this title away from him. He walked straight to his seat and sat down. With that, all the attendees of the shareholders' meeting were there. Then, the meeting commenced. Victor was the first one to give his speech. He achieved remarkable results that year. After he took over a failing company, he managed to revive it and turn the losses into profits. The comparative data presented on the screen coupled with Victor's eloquent presentation rendered Sophie fascinated. She couldn't help staring at him. Victor does look dependable when he's serious. After Victor ended his speech, a round of applause echoed in the conference room. That's the end of my presentation. Now let's invite Mr. Tanner onto the stage. Victor wanted Sophie to be the last one to present as he had high expectations for her. Yale asked his secretary to show the slides. Though all the preparation work was done by his secretary, he still had to do the presentation himself. However, he was not familiar with the data at all. Similarly, he never took his presentations seriously in the past and merely went through with them as a formality. He was too busy the night before and did not even get to take a glance at the slides. As he started his speech, the data that he presented orally was totally different from what was shown on the screen. Despite his poor performance, Yale's expression remained calm. Sophie, are you really Mr. Tanner's daughter? Asked Victor. How can someone like him be the father to such an outstanding daughter? Sophie remained silent, not knowing how to respond. I don't mean anything. I just think biology is amazing. How can a terrible father like him have such a brilliant daughter? Victor admired Sophie from the bottom of his heart. After Yale finished his presentation with difficulty, everyone else in the conference room started whispering to each other. Yale's expression turned grim. Was my performance bad just now? Yale asked Charmaine in a low voice. Where did you go last night? Why can't you memorize the data on the slides? Asked Charmaine. Yale did not come home all night the day before. It's none of your business. No matter what, I'm confident that I'll continue to be the CEO. For some unknown reason, Yale was still very confident despite his terrible presentation. As long as Sophie voluntarily gives up. Now let's welcome Ms. Tanner to give her speech, Victor announced with anticipation. Not only Victor, but all shareholders were looking forward to Sophie's presentation. On the contrary, Yale snorted coldly. What's so great about her? No matter how great she is, she will listen to me as long as I use Dad to threaten her. Yale knew exactly what Sophie cared about most. Sophie got up and walked toward the stage under everyone's expectant gazes. She played the slides herself. Then, she began with her presentation. Sophie presented the facts confidently without any exaggerations. The data shown on the screen successfully attracted everyone's attention. Transfix Cosmetics had turned from a brand that was spurned by everyone to a popular brand under Sophie's leadership. That's the end of my report. I believe all of the shareholders here are smart and visionary. I'm sure that you invest in Tanner Group with the hope of getting the greatest return. I can assure you that I will help you to achieve what you want. Sophie articulated each word convincingly. Her confidence was genuine. Though there weren't any pretentious behaviors and unfeasible claims to prove her case, her performance alone rendered her absolutely remarkable. When Yale noticed everyone's excited and satisfied expression, his face fell. Everyone was giving him a doubtful look during his presentation. However, their eyes immediately lit up when they were listening to Sophie's speech. She had won their trust easily. Victor took the lead to give her a round of applause. I've never admired anyone in my life. But today, I'm really impressed by Sophie, said Victor sincerely. Apparently, the presentation that she did was enough to prove her ability. Such ability was enough to lead Tanner Group to a brighter future. After he paused for a moment, Victor added, I hereby announce that I voluntarily quit the election for the position of CEO. He thought that by quitting unselfishly, he had achieved another form of victory. Mr. Victor. His assistant was shocked at his decision. He didn't expect things to play out the way it did. We've put in so much effort. Why does he want to quit all of a sudden? I believe Sophie is more suitable than everyone else to lead Tanner Group. Rest assured that I will also do my best to assist Sophie in the future. Tanner Group was a company with great potential. Under the leadership of Sophie, this marked the start of the journey to a better future. The other shareholders also agreed with what Victor said. After all, Victor's ability was obvious to all. Since even Victor appreciated Sophie's capability and supported her to be Tanner Group's new CEO, they believed Sophie was indeed amazing. Victor, don't you forget that I'm still one of the candidates. My profit is the highest, isn't it? Yale would not give up easily. Victor glanced at him with exasperation. Mr. Tanner, do you think all of us are idiots? You might not know the validity of your own data, but we all know that. Victor did not understand why he had to humiliate himself. What do you mean? All my data are genuine. Yale was indignant. Hearing that, all the shareholders in the room felt awkward. They were not as foolish as Yale. All of them could tell that his data were faked at first glance. Charmaine felt embarrassed too when she heard what Yale said, and she avoided the shareholders' gazes. Yale was doomed to failure since he decided to go out and fool around the day before such an important occasion. He did not even bother to do his preparation. Charmaine was extremely disappointed with him. Without the title of Tanner Group's CEO, Yale was a nobody. Do you have any evidence to prove that my data are faked? Yale was not giving up. That was not the first time he forged data. He was not afraid of their accusation if they had no proof. Since you still refuse to admit your fault, I'll make you do so. Then, Victor asked his assistant to disclose all the evidence. Yale's face immediately turned pale after he saw the documents that Victor had prepared beforehand. All of them were evidence of his falsification. He didn't expect to be humiliated right in front of everyone. Mr. White, I know that you've always disliked me. But how can you disgrace me in such a way? This is defamation, and I can sue you. I believe you know it clearly in your heart whether this is defamation, said Victor scornfully. Yale was so furious that he was at a loss of words. If you want to continue to mess around, I'll have to get the investigation department involved. Victor did not want to waste time listening to his nonsense. After all, it was useless trying to argue with someone like Yale. Although Yale was angry, he did not dare to let the people from the investigation department come over. Suddenly, Sophie stood up and interjected. That's enough for today's drama. I believe everyone has made up their mind about who to vote for the upcoming CEO. The three of us will leave the room now, and all of you can proceed with your voting. As soon as Sophie walked out of the room, Victor followed behind her too, not wanting to stick around any longer. However, Yale refused to leave, as he wanted to witness the voting process. Mr. Tanner, for the sake of fairness, you should go out too, said the union chairman of Tanner Group. Yale was extremely worried about the result, but since everyone was looking at him derisively, he had no choice but to leave the room. Besides, the only thing left for him to do now was to talk to Sophie. Do you really want to give up the position of Tanner Group's CEO? Asked Sophie. She could hardly believe her ears. After all, Victor had been preparing for this election for so long. Why did he give up all of a sudden? Didn't you hear me just now? Yes, I voluntarily quit the election because I believe you are more suitable for this position than me. That was Victor's sincere thought. Sophie was unsure of what was exactly on his mind. Nonetheless, that was not important to her at that moment. It was better for her if there was one less competitor. Right then, Yale walked over. Victor completely ignored him, unwilling to speak with him. Yale walked up to Sophie and said in a low voice, "Can we talk?" Sophie raised her brows. What else can we talk about? The outcome is already decided. Mr. Tanner, don't be a sore loser. Victor despised the other man to no end. Mr. White, this is our family matter, and it's none of your business. So, you might want to step away. Although Yale was unhappy deep down, he dared not say much in front of a strong competitor like Victor. Family. Have you ever treated Sophie as your daughter? If you treat her as your daughter, you wouldn't have behaved like this. Victor was a straightforward person. He had no qualms about saying what was on his mind. Sophie, I'm talking to you. Are you listening? Your attitude is really disappointing. Do you even have manners? Yale dared not criticize Victor, but he was not afraid to do so to Sophie. After all, he was her father. He believed she would not fight back. Victor looked at Sophie in silence, wanting to see how she would deal with that situation. Sophie, don't let yourself regret it. Yale was annoyed by her attitude. If it was not because Sophie had Tristan as her backer, Yale would not let her off easily. Sophie frowned. Is he threatening me? If you have anything to say, just say it here. As a righteous person, Sophie had nothing to hide. Yale shot a look at Victor. He did not feel comfortable having Victor, an outsider, around. However, Victor showed no intention of leaving. Instead, he regarded Yale curiously, wondering what he was going to do next. Mr. White, do you mind giving us some space for a private talk? Said Sophie as she knew what Yale was wary of. Victor shrugged. Fine, I'll leave. I don't mind. Then, he turned and left, leaving Sophie and Yale alone. Now that they were left alone, Yale rubbed his hands and said, Sophie, I know you're a very capable person. Since you're so capable, I believe you can shine anywhere. Why don't you give me Tanner Group? If Yale had other choices, he definitely would not have resorted to kidnapping his own father. Sophie grew impatient. I'm not going to say another word about this matter. Taking note of her attitude, Yale clenched his fists in anger. Sophie, let me warn you again. You must give up the position of CEO no matter what. Yale could no longer control himself. Unwilling to speak any further, Sophie turned to walk away. Your grandpa is in my hands. If you don't give up today, you'll never get to see him again. Yale knew that Sophie cared about Josiah the most, which was why he made such a move, putting all his hope on that. Hearing that, Sophie stopped in her tracks. What do you mean? Her voice was extremely cold. Looking at her reaction, Yale was a little proud of himself. No one is indestructible. As long as I can find her weakness, I can control her very well too. Sophie walked up to Yale. You kidnapped Grandpa? Sophie wanted to give him one last chance. If he still showed no signs of repentance, she would show no mercy. I have no other choices. I would not have made such a move if you were willing to listen to me. For the sake of our family's harmony, you have to give up the position of CEO today, said Yale, sounding as if all he did was for her own good. Keep dreaming. Yale did not expect that to happen. Let me tell you something, Sophie. There's nothing I wouldn't do when I'm backed up against the wall. To think that your grandfather loves you so. How could you? How dare you? You were the one who kidnapped Grandpa. Sophie no longer paid him any mind. Instead, she called Butterfly. What is it, Phantom? Butterfly asked, concerned because she was usually the one to seek Phantom out. Could something have happened for Phantom to make contact this time? Locate my grandfather, and send a team to bring him back. Sophie's tone made it clear that her order was not to be questioned. All right. Whenever Sophie spoke in that tone, it was a sign she was trying her best to control her emotions. Still feeling uneasy after hanging up, Sophie made another call to Tristan. What is it? Tristan had been waiting for her call and, upon receiving it, thought the shareholders' meeting had ended. I would like to ask for a favor, Mr. Tristan. Though she wanted more than anything to search for Josiah herself, Sophie had promised the old man to assume the position of CEO, which was why she could not leave as she pleased. What is it? Though her tone was no different than usual, he felt his heart ache upon hearing her voice. Yale took Grandpa away. Could you bring him back for me, please? Sophie did not realize how much calmer she became after hearing Tristan's voice. All right. I will get it done, Tristan promised. Don't worry. I will personally carry this out and bring old Mr. Tanner to you once the shareholder meeting ends. She might not believe anybody else, but she had complete faith in Tristan. She knew he was capable and would get it done for her sake. All right, don't fret about it. I'll bring him back. After assuring her, Tristan hung up and got to his feet, with Felix following suit. Did something happen, Mr. Tristan? Felix asked curiously. Yale is up to no good. He kidnapped old Mr. Tanner. What? Felix was stunned. That old fox, Yale, kidnapped his father to threaten his daughter? What has the world come to? Enough. Have somebody find out old Mr. Tanner's current location. As he had already promised Sophie, he was going to bring Josiah back no matter the cost. All right. Rest assured, Mr. Tristan. I will keep you informed promptly. Having met much more formidable and complex adversaries than Yale, Felix was not concerned at all. Tristan was still not assured. Make haste. There cannot be any mistake. Understood. As long as it pertained to Sophie, I must do it well. I do not want anything to upset Sophie. Don't worry, Mr. Tristan. What haven't I encountered after all these years by your side? Mr. Tristan was not even that nervous when Isabel was kidnapped. Tristan gave Felix a look which the latter hastily took as his cue to leave. All right, understood. I'll have somebody poke around. Tristan knew despite Yale's deranged and reckless actions, he would not bring harm to his own father. The latter's reason for doing so was to force Sophie to forfeit herself from the election. Only by bringing old Mr. Tanner home will I ease Sophie's worries. Meanwhile, Yale was awaiting Sophie's answer in Tanner Group. Old Mr. Tanner loves you so much, Sophie. You wouldn't turn a blind eye to his survival, would you? I will have old Mr. Tanner returned home without a scratch if you give up this opportunity. Sophie's gaze were like glaciers. Her hands clenched involuntarily into fists. Aren't you ashamed of saying such a thing, Yale? Grandpa has always been good to you. As his son, how could you have such thoughts? Good to me? He would not have snatched Tanner Group from my hands if he were good to me. Do you think I want to do this? I've been driven to desperation by you all. Who would do such a sick thing? If they had not forced me to the edge, I definitely wouldn't. Since you dare do such a thing for your own greed, Yale, I, too, will dare send you to prison. I am not going to accommodate him anymore. Yale was rendered speechless. He did not expect her to remain steadfast even up to that point. Are you going to disregard old Mr. Tanner's life for Tanner Group? Yale, confident that victory was within his grasp, became suddenly unsure. Sophie does not look as if she is going to cooperate. What does she mean by this now? Victor arrived at that moment. The shareholders had already arrived at a conclusion, and it was time they headed in. Let's go. It's time, he announced before noticing Sophie's cold expression. I wonder what she and Yale were talking about. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Victor asked in concern. Sophie shook her head. Tristan will help me with this, so it is not necessary to inform Victor of this. I want to be your ally, Sophie. You must tell me if there's anything important. No matter what it is, I would do it without hesitation as long as it was within my capacity. Thank you, but it really is not necessary. Aside from Tristan, I cannot trust anybody else. I meant what I said. I want to fight side by side with you. He even conceded running for election to show her his resolve. Noted. Yale panicked as Sophie and Victor made to depart and completely ignored him. What is going on with Sophie? Doesn't she care whether the old man lives or not? Tanner dashed over and grabbed Sophie's arm. It was the final straw. Unable to tolerate her father another second longer, she whipped around and grabbed Yale by the throat. Despite struggling with all his might, Yale could not muster even an ounce of strength. Sophie stood before him. Though she was several inches shorter than him, the aura emanating from her was terrifying. Yale panicked and flailed his arms madly as the feeling of suffocation descended upon him. He did not dare believe Sophie was capable of laying a finger on him. I am her father, and she is doing this before an outsider. Isn't she afraid of what people would think of her? You shouldn't have threatened me with Grandpa, Yale. She might have tolerated it if it were anybody else, but she could not do so when it came to Josiah. Yale continued to struggle and was suddenly lifted off the ground by Sophie. Victor, who was usually ruthless, was also stunned by Sophie's actions at that moment. What is going on here? This girl looks terrifying right now. Even I can sense the murderous, bloodthirsty aura emanating from her. Is she really going to kill her own father? Charmaine emerged to summon them in and was greeted immediately by that harrowing scene. Her mouth fell open in shock. She wanted to scream but was unable to produce even a squeak. However, Sophie was unperturbed by Charmaine's arrival. Only when Yale was deathly pale and close to suffocation did Charmaine force herself to walk over and grab Sophie's hand. No matter what happened, Sophie, he's still your father, Charmaine pleaded. You'll regret it for the rest of your life if you hurt him today. Sophie was her daughter, and to that end, Charmaine did not wish for the former to be burdened by the sin of patricide. Victor came over as well. It's not worth destroying yourself for somebody like that, Sophie. I still can't believe Sophie did that. Sophie shoved Yale aside. Despite regaining his freedom, he could not even take a single step as he sat on the ground and gasped for breath. Even the expensive suit he donned could not disguise how wretched he appeared at that moment. Sophie. Yale finally found his voice after a long while. It was quavering at that moment. Is the girl before me my daughter? I never knew that the girl had such a terrifying side. She was going to kill me just now. Yale could not steady his pounding heart at the thought of his close brush with death. You better pray nothing happens to Grandpa, or I won't let you go. At that, Sophie turned and entered the conference room. Charmaine frowned. What did you do? Isn't old Mr. Tanner at home? Why would Soph say such a thing? Yale shoved his wife, who had knelt beside him, aside. All you know is ask questions. Look at the daughter you raised. She even dares raise a hand against her father. She is a murderer. Charmaine shook her head. I know my daughter very well, Yale. She would not be this way if you hadn't done something. Sophie has always been serene by nature and would not flare up without provocation. The circumstances only pointed to the fact that Yale did something that thoroughly enraged her. What's more, the matter pertained to old Mr. Tanner. Yale stood up and entered the conference room. There is no way I'm going to miss the announcement of the result. Everybody had resumed their seats by then. The union chairman took the stage, and by the end, all the shareholders unanimously agreed that Sophie was the best choice to lead Tanner Group. I hereby declare that from today on, Ms. Tanner is officially the CEO of Tanner Group. Victor led the round of applause after the union chairman spoke. Everybody was satisfied with the results. Sophie has what it takes to lead us to new heights. Yale, however, refused to accept the result. He leaped to his feet. Sophie dared to lay a finger on her own father. How could somebody of this character be the CEO of Tanner Group? I firmly object. Yale was clutching at straws, but not one of the shareholders paid him any attention. Speaking of character, nobody's was worse than Yale's. Sophie's leadership was what they wanted instead. Don't you believe me? She just grabbed my neck earlier, trying to kill me. Yale refused to give up. Sophie is not suitable for this position. Nobody listened to a word he said. Instead, they flocked around Sophie to pledge their loyalty. Rest assured, everybody. As long as we work hard together, I won't be pursuing matters of the past, Sophie declared, by way of reaffirming her stand. We will. The other shareholders chimed in. The more firmly everything appeared to be set in stone, the more in denial Yale became. Do you not care whether your grandfather lives or dies, Sophie? It is impossible. I have done so many things for the position of CEO of Tanner Group, yet here we are. I refuse to believe it. I'll deal with you once I find Grandpa. Sophie did not waste her breath with him. Instead, she called Tristan at once. You can relax now. We'd found Grandpa. He's doing very well. Tristan was keeping Josiah company when he received the call and strode outside to pick up for fear of upsetting Josiah lest the old man overheard. To his credit, Josiah knew what was going on. From when Yale's secretary picked him up from the Tanner residence to when Tristan kicked up a ruckus in search of him, he understood everything that was going on. Severe disappointment was the only thing he felt at the moment. There is something wrong with the way I raised my son. Otherwise, things would not be the way they are now. He had been chatting with Tristan earlier, and the younger man did not even dare mention Yale. Josiah's expression turned especially grim when Tristan stepped outside. He felt awful about how things turned out. Sophie exited Tanner Group immediately upon learning Josiah's location, as she intended to bring her grandfather home at once. Yale reached out to grab her arm at the sight of her leaving. You really don't care if your grandfather dies or not? Yale threatened, refusing to give up. If I was never the CEO, I might not be this upset. But because I once had it, the loss hurts all the more. Where did you bring old Mr. Tanner, Yale? Don't do anything foolish. Charmaine was shocked to learn that Yale had kidnapped Josiah for Tanner Group. Get lost. Yale growled impatiently. He shoved Charmaine aside, who would have fallen over if Sophie had not caught her. Ignore him. He's insane beyond redemption. There is nothing else he wouldn't do after doing something like this to his father. The car sent by Tristan had already arrived when Sophie exited Tanner Group. Felix emerged from the vehicle to receive her. "Let's go." "Don't worry, old Mr. Tanner is very safe now," Felix assured, as he knew that Josiah's safety was her utmost priority. "Thank you." Sophie only became truly relieved upon finding out that Josiah was unharmed. Fortunately, nothing happened to Josiah. Otherwise, I would not know whether I made the right decision. "I'll bring you over." "Can I come over with you, Sophie?" Charmaine, too, wanted to pay Josiah a visit. "It's not necessary, Mom. You should go home first, and I will bring Grandpa back later today." As for Yale, the punishment that is going to befall him would be severe. "Start the car, Mr. Northley," Sophie then ordered. Felix nodded and drove them away. Yale, however, ran after the car. "No, I cannot lose everything in Tanner Group." He's still refusing to give up. Felix smirked. How could a pair of human legs hope to catch up with the four wheels of a car? This man's brain must be chock full of shit. Sophie glanced at the rearview mirror and saw Yale still in pursuit. Ignore him. Sophie did not want to spare Yale another glance. Soon, Yale could no longer be seen from the rearview mirror. "Cheer up, Sophie." Felix did not know how to console her. He thought she must be feeling horrible for how her father treated her grandfather, despite how relaxed she looked. "I'm fine." Sophie closed her eyes, making it plain that she no longer wished to discuss the subject. She was reluctant to elaborate, and Felix did not force her. Tristan had brought Josiah to one of his mansions. Though he did not often drop by, a housekeeper kept the place ready for him to visit whenever he liked. Having learned that Sophie was coming, Josiah sat in wait on the couch. "Why don't you take a nap, Grandpa? I'll wake you when Sophie comes." He's getting older and has undergone such a massive operation, so he must be tired. "Oh, Tanny. Thank you for always being by Sophie's side." If it weren't for Tristan, who was always by Sophie's side, Josiah dared not imagine what would become of her. Though he knew his granddaughter was a force to be reckoned with, there was no way she could face it calmly when her beloved family member was involved, no matter how formidable she was. "It's within my duty, Grandpa. Don't worry. No matter what happens, I will always be by Sophie's side. That is my promise. I will not let anybody hurt Sophie." Felix was leading Sophie in when she heard Tristan utter those words. She was touched. It really is nice to have him. Otherwise, I would not know what to do. Josiah smiled at Sophie's arrival. "What's the rush, Sophie? The shareholders' meeting must have just ended." "I'm fine. You needn't worry." Josiah did not wish to bring up the matter, but it concerned Sophie, his beloved granddaughter. He knew that the matter could not go unsaid. Though he was the one who was kidnapped, he could no longer defend Yale. Sophie wrapped her arms around Josiah's waist and leaned on his chest. Though she knew nothing would happen, Sophie felt relieved to see Josiah standing alive and well before her. "Don't worry, Grandpa. Tanner Group will be my legacy from now on." She was determined to lead Tanner Group to new heights. Sophie's voice sounded relaxed. "I'm sorry, Sophie," Josiah murmured. "If it weren't for my insistence of you taking on that role, you wouldn't have had to experience all of that. Such an ordeal is tough for anyone to endure." Sophie grasped the old man's hand. "You don't have to be sorry. It's me you're talking to, Grandpa. All right, you must be tired. Rest a little here at Mr. Tristan's before we go home. If you don't feel like returning, you can stay with me for a few days. You know, I really am tired. I'll take a nap here at Tanny's, and we'll talk after I wake up." "Okay." After bringing Josiah into a clean room and tucking him in, Sophie emerged sometime later and immediately spotted Tristan waiting for her. He approached her, took both her hands, and pulled her into his embrace. "It's over. Grandpa's fine. You can relax now. I'll have 2 men following him from now on, and they won't allow anybody to take him away." I will have 2 of my most capable men protect old Mr. Tanner. I'd once offered to hire 2 bodyguards for him, but he turned me down. Being a soldier in his day, Josiah was prideful and thought highly of his combat skills. But how could he fight people off being as old as he is? Furthermore, he had just undergone an extensive operation. Don't worry, Tristan said. I've discussed this problem with Grandpa, and he's agreed to it. Josiah had come around after the incident. Leaning against his chest, Sophie felt genuinely relieved at the moment. Thank you so much, Mr. Tristan. Without you, I think I would be. If it weren't for him, I would not have been able to control myself. I would have done something unthinkable. Tristan lowered his head to kiss her still moving lips. I don't want to hear her say such things. She only needs to rely on me. I will work hard to ensure that she has nothing to worry about. It was a lingering kiss, tender and persistent yet vaguely domineering. That kiss strengthened Sophie's attachment to him. Without a doubt, she enjoyed that kiss, which gave her a realistic sensation. Tristan continued kissing her until she could not breathe and almost became the first person to die of suffocation from kissing. He then let go of her reluctantly. Tristan was dazed and out of breath, gazing at her lips made red by his own. Sophie panted as she leaned against his chest. Her gentle, heaving breaths made the atmosphere between them quite suggestive. Tristan found his voice first. Are you tired? I'm fine. Yale had really got under her skin. He should never have done something like that to Grandpa. He should never have put Grandpa in such a predicament. She knew Josiah best and was sure that Josiah must be feeling horrible about Yale at that moment. Yet she could do nothing about it. How do you plan to deal with Yale? I can help you if you don't want to handle it. As Yale is her father, she must feel conflicted. I don't mind handling it. Leave it to me. Sophie was not a person to back down. Since it already happened, the only thing I need to do is to make him give up. He pinched her cheeks as his heart clenched. Why does she have to make such difficult choices? She could have been a happy princess living in a carefree castle, yet she is forced to face those matters and, even worse, is determined not to accept help from anybody. I'm serious, Sophie. I want to help you handle it. I don't want to see you conflicted. I'm not conflicted. There's nothing to be conflicted about. This isn't even bad enough to trouble me. Meanwhile, Yale sought his secretary with the intent of using Josiah as leverage for everything he wanted. Instead, he found his secretary with a bruised and battered face. What happened? Where's old Mr. Tanner? Didn't I tell you bring him out? Yale was livid. If my trump card is no longer in my hands, what else can I do? The secretary grabbed Yale by the collar. You are too much, Yale. I work for you for wages. What about you? Do you want to cost me my life? What are you doing? Where is my dad? Where did you bring him to? Yale was genuinely anxious at that instant. The secretary shoved Yale aside. Stay away from me in the future. That man is none other than Tristan Lombard. An instruction from him is sufficient to ruin my life. Dumbstruck, Yale slumped to the floor. Am I really doomed? Have I truly lost all my chances and possessions? Meanwhile, at Tristan's mansion, Sophie took a nap inside Tristan's room. However, she did not sleep soundly. Resting in a hypnagogic state of consciousness, she immediately woke up when Tristan entered the room. Is my grandpa awake? Tristan walked to the side of the bed and helped her brush her stray strands of hair. Yes. Old Mr. Tanner is awake, and he's having his afternoon tea. Let's go. We'll accompany him to have his meal. Tristan was there to invite Sophie to join Josiah. Okay. She got up and followed Tristan out of the room. Josiah was very contented at the amicable sight of the couple approaching him together. They are indeed a match made in heaven. I can honestly rest assured with Tristan by Sophie's side. Did you rest well, Grandpa? Sophie asked concernedly. I had a good rest. Come over here and join me for a meal. Let's have some food and go back home, so the others are not worried. No matter what, Josiah would demand an explanation from Yale because of what the latter did. Josiah was not letting that matter slide. Okay. Tristan and Sophie sat beside Josiah and accompanied the old man to have his afternoon tea. Josiah's appetite was good as he consumed a considerable amount of food. Still, Sophie was worried that overeating would affect his health, so he stopped eating after she persuaded him. Let's go. Josiah tried his best to put up a more relaxed appearance, but to no avail. After all, anyone would be furious after experiencing something like that. Sophie went to help Josiah up. Don't be mad, Grandpa. Getting too worked up is bad for your health. She was ready to assist her grandpa in executing whatever was necessary after he made the decision, so there was no need for him to be angry. Sophie, this is a problem I must take care of. I hope you can understand that there are some matters I cannot let you handle entirely. Yale is my son, and part of the reason contributing to his current vile behavior is my failure to educate him. Okay. I promise you. I will support whatever decision you make. Ultimately, Josiah was the head of the family. I'll tag along. Tristan wished to stay by Sophie's side and face the situation with her when dealing with that predicament. Tanny, I know you are a kind boy, but this is still the Tanner family's matter. Therefore, there's no need for you to be there. Josiah wished to preserve the last of his pride and dignity. Tristan grasped Sophie's hand. Grandpa still thinks of him as an outsider. It seems like there is still room for improvement for Tristan. That's right. You don't have to go. I'll take care of this. Sophie blamed herself for allowing Yale to take Josiah away. This time, I'll make sure to protect Grandpa well. All right. Allow me to send you back then. Remember to contact me no matter what happens. I'll be there at any time. Tristan was actually quite delighted because Sophie had thought of him when that incident occurred. He hoped that she would always be reminded of him regardless of the circumstances in the future. Josiah did not refuse Tristan's offer since the latter was just going to send them back to the Tanner residence. Tristan personally drove to send Josiah back to the Tanner residence. Upon their arrival, Sophie opened the car door and helped Josiah to get out of the vehicle. Morgan was already waiting outside the house at that moment after he received a call from Sophie in advance. He felt guilt-ridden for losing Josiah. Hence, at the sight of Josiah, Morgan hastily jogged up to him. Old Mr. Tanner, I'm sorry. This is all my fault. After serving the Tanner family for so many years, Morgan could not believe he would commit such a blunder, so he was not able to forgive himself for the error. Morgan, this is not your fault. You don't have to feel guilty. Josiah was sure that his incapability to handle his family matters led to the incident, so Morgan had nothing to do with that issue. Old Mr. Tanner, you. Morgan knew Josiah was upset, but he did not know how to comfort the latter. Yale did cross the line this time. His actions have really disappointed us greatly. Morgan helped Josiah to enter the house, leaving only Sophie and Tristan outside. You should go back now. I'll call you later. Sophie could not spare her attention entertaining Tristan at that moment because she had her family matter to attend to. Remember to call me once you've settled everything. In fact, he yearned to go into the house with her, but he knew she would forbid him from doing so. As a result, Tristan had no choice but to leave. I got it. Drive safely on your way back. As long as Josiah was safe, Sophie was not afraid of anything else and had the confidence to deal with the ongoing situation. Tristan gave her a gentle hug. Bear in mind that you are not alone. I'll always have your back, he uttered emotionally. Okay. Sophie's eyes gleamed as she gazed at him. He's so kind. I think that I am very fortunate and blessed to have met with him. Go back to your car. I'll enter the house after I see you off. Tristan nodded. He turned around, got into his car, and drove away. Sophie watched him leave before spinning on her heel and walking into the house. Charmaine immediately ordered the housekeeper to prepare a cup of tea when she saw Josiah had returned safely. Dad, are you all right? Charmaine asked, looking all concerned. That unexpected event caused everyone in the family to feel very worried. Josiah merely nodded in response. Willow was also present, standing beside her mother. "Grandpa, did my dad really kidnap you?" Willow was still in disbelief up until that moment. Charmaine nudged Willow with her elbow. "What is wrong with her? How can she ask a question like this now? I wouldn't have told her these things if I had known her insensibility. Willow, go upstairs. You've got no business staying here." Charmaine had no choice but to ask Willow to excuse herself from the scene. Just then, Sophie showed up. Catching sight of Sophie, Willow took a seat on the couch at once. "Mom, if she can be here, why can't I stay? Am I not your daughter?" Willow had the urge to compete against Sophie in everything the latter did. "Willa," Charmaine warned her. "Can't you see that your grandpa is at the limits of his patience?" Willow went upstairs reluctantly and threw a tantrum in her room. "All of them only have Sophie in their eyes. They are all neglecting me. How can they do this to me?" Sophie sat beside Josiah and poured him a cup of tea. Yale did not seem to be home at that moment. Therefore, even if Josiah wanted to settle the score, he had to wait for Yale to come home. Nevertheless, Josiah was determined to reprimand Yale no matter what. At that moment, the two people hired by Tristan had also arrived, but they appeared no different from an average Joe. "Ms. Tanner, Mr. Tristan sent us here. From now on, we will take care of old Mr. Tanner's safety. You two will need to prove your worth and abilities to me before you are qualified to protect my grandpa." Although Tristan had assigned the two men, Sophie wanted to be more cautious as they would be responsible for Josiah's security. "How do you wish for us to show you then? Do we have to face you in a one-on-one fight?" However, the two bodyguards did not feel it was appropriate for them to bully a girl like Sophie.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.